The United States may have the largest economy in the world, but Washington's foreign policy and its involvement in one international conflict after another have fueled questions of just how long it can portray itself as a world leader, as the end of the unipolar world is now more of a fact than a possibility. When the Biden administration announced an end to the war in Afghanistan last year, it could have sent the message that it was ready to focus on issues at home, of which there are many, as the U.S. economy is reportedly already in a recession.
66% worry that a major recession is right around the corner, up from 48% at this time last year. At the same time, 71% say their income is not keeping up with rising expenses.
But instead, the U.S. government turned its focus to Ukraine and ramped up its funding for the country to unprecedented levels as Washington pledged its support for what some call a proxy war against Russia. And the U.S. didn't stop there. The White House made that clear when they stepped aside as Nancy Pelosi took a trip to Taiwan despite numerous threats from China. The result? Beijing sanctioned the House Speaker and severed ties with Washington in a number of areas, signaling this wasn't the end of the conflict between the two countries. And as if that wasn't enough tension, the U.S. military is reportedly gearing up for joint drills with India in October, less than 100 kilometers from the border with China. Oh, and despite his promise to revive the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran, Biden has yet to do so, sparking concerns that the U.S. could be in for yet another conflict. Even with the presence of sporadic talks, Biden has yet to lift any sanctions from Tehran, and he has also defended keeping the country's Revolutionary Guard on the U.S. terror list at all costs. None of these international standoffs are helping the situation on the home front, as Biden's critics have pointed out that his policies have triggered a growing energy crisis, while he has only been in office for less than 2 years.
Yet because of his party's climate hysteria, what they believe on the climate, Biden locked down American oil and natural gas production. And now Biden is crawling around the globe on his knees, begging and pleading for mercy from Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Venezuela. You could take the 5 worst presidents in American history and put them together, and they would not have done the damage that Joe Biden has done to our country in less than 2 years. It's true.
But while Biden focuses on stoking the fires of foreign conflicts, the numbers show the American people are not on his side. For example, the latest Gallup poll found that just 1% of Americans see Russia as a major issue. Instead, the majority listed inflation, government leadership, and the U.S. economy as their top concerns. Then there's Biden's approval rating, which is seemingly in free fall and is now down to an all-time low of just 38%. Yet the president is still approving more money and weapons for Ukraine, bringing the grand total to nearly $9 billion since the beginning of the year.
The Biden administration's next security assistance package for Ukraine is expected to be $1 billion, one of the largest so far, and include munitions for long-range weapons and armored medical transport vehicles. The package is expected to be announced as early as Monday and would add to about $8.8 billion in aid the United States has given Ukraine since February 24.
Meanwhile, the Congressional Budget Office reports that U.S. public debt is nearly $24 trillion, which is over 100% of the country's GDP. Yet even with inflation at 40-year highs and the economy declining, the Biden administration refuses to listen, raising questions about how long the U.S. can continue at this pace and, of course, how long the American taxpayers and voters will allow it.
I think the American military, the strategic consultants, the security experts, they are forever trying again to once have a big military victory. And I believe they think that in Ukraine they could get that victory. Their own reports and media are continuously repeating that the new missile systems from America will disrupt Russian logistics and Russian supplies. America is definitely in a recession. Many of my colleagues, senior political scientists, one of their most senior brains, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, are warning that America could be moving towards a new civil war within the country because the divisions between Americans are so deep. on almost all issues. Let us hope that the American democratic system, with its checks and balances, will allow for a change. If not, we will see a very, very difficult time for humanity.